while we're waiting to see if anybody else joins. But we're at 5 past and we do have quite a bit to get through, so I better get started and don't want you both to miss out on any of it. So I guess first of all, my name is Rachel and I am a lead consultant at Esri Ireland, and I've been managing the ArcGIS for Schools programme for the past year. And you both have your logins, so that's great. I don't think I really need to go into too much about ArcGIS for Schools and that setup, but if you are ever having any issues with the account or login, you can get in touch with me. And so today we are going to look at Survey123, and we're going to, I guess this kind of setup with the webinar is maybe a little bit different because you're probably used to somebody on this just talking at you, which I guess will be the case for most of this, but I wanted to make it an opportunity for you to actually create a survey and work along with me. So please feel free to unmute yourselves at any time just to ask questions or chat, say any comments, just anything, or just type some chat into the little chat box there. I will go through, you can see I'm sharing my screen at the moment. We'll go through this document, which I've also put in the handouts tab, so you can download a copy. I'll be sending that to everybody else, as well as this recording. So it is being, this is being recorded. So I guess if you are unmuting yourselves, that will be in the recording too. So we'll go through kind of bit by bit, and I'll talk you through it, and then you can do the same set of steps as me, and we'll just keep together, and hopefully it will be a good kind of familiarization with using Survey123 and build your confidence in using it. We are going to look at, the example is a rivers study, so the kind of survey you'd put together for a rivers field trip. This might be something you have already looked at before. If that is the case, I'm sorry if this is repetitive, but hopefully it's just a good example, and it's one that then we can work with next week of actually analysing the data and visualising it on Arc Online. So I guess just to get a little bit of background, have either of you, you can just put this into the chat, have you used Survey123 much before, whether that's just in the classroom or using it for fieldwork? If you just put yes or no into the chat, that will just give me a good not at all. Great. I'm just going to pop this out. No, never. Okay, perfect. That's actually quite a good starting point then for today. And to just get you started on this, I am going to put this link. You will see this here. You might have both filled this in. I'm going to send this in the chat. Oh, here we go. If you click on this link, this is going to be your first experience of actually filling in a survey. So this is just to get you started. And you might have, if you saw my email in the past couple of days, you might have already filled this in, which is fine. But I'll give you a couple of moments. Just this is what a survey looks like when you open it in the web browser. And I've just put this together so you can have a go at filling in these answers, and I'll just show you then what that looks like before we actually get started on creating our own. And if you click on that link, I will just go to the other tab here, and we'll get to this page very soon, and I'll explain what all of this means. But for now, I'm just going to click on this data tab, and I should see your answers coming in. So this could be your two already. I obviously didn't ask anybody for their names, but some people might have filled this in if they're still not attending. And there we go. Oh, I can pop that out here. No, perfect, that's fine. So just reading these responses. Done already, thanks Laura, that's fine, don't worry, good. So you've had a look through it. So the cool thing then about this is that your answers, as soon as they were submitted to that survey, whenever I'm logged into Survey123, I can look at this data tab and see your answers immediately, see those points on the map. Oh, good. We have another one there. Amanda, that must be yours in. So we can click on each of these to then take a look at the answers from each person, each submission. And I can also then go into the Analyze tab and take a look at these answers. So let's see. Okay, we've got 3 for geography. Okay, good. Most people are mostly dogs. I actually watched something recently that said, why do we put people into these categories? But I'm definitely more a dog person as well. This is going a bit crazy on my screen here. I'll maybe just change it to a bar. So just to see what are your favorite movie genres, a good example of being able to put the different options in order is quite a cool question to include in your survey. Definitely up there with the comedy as well, and I cannot deal with horror films, so I'm in agreement with all of that. So good. That was just a bit of fun, just to let you have a go at actually filling out a survey before you create your own. So thanks for doing that. Okay, cool. I'll just move this out of the way on my screen, and then over here we're going to go back to our document. So today, now that you've seen what the survey looks like when you're filling it in and what I can see behind the scenes, we're now going to create our own survey. So today the plan is create, share, and then fill out a survey. Okay, so the first step is that we're logging into Survey123, and you both said that you haven't used this before, but you have your ArcGIS Online account. So the kind of link between that is that you use the same login details for both. When you log into ArcGIS Online, there are options to change into Survey123. There's also other applications and things like that you can use. So it's all linked together, which really is the benefit of using Survey123 over, say, other form providers. I know you probably use Google Forms, or there's SurveyMonkey and things like that. But the really cool thing and beneficial thing about Survey123 is that you've got that geospatial element, and it links seamlessly with Arc Online. So when we fill in our survey today, next week, I mean, you could do it straight away afterwards, but when we come back next week, we can look in Arc Online, put that data on a map, and start visualizing it straight away. So I think you both said you can log in all right, but just to keep everybody together, if you follow the link in that document, you can either go to survey123.arcgis.com, or if you're logged into Arc Online, I can show you another way to access this tab. A lot of tabs open here. I'm just trying to keep the right thing on my screen. So I click sign in. So this is just me signing into ArcGIS Online with my school's account. And if you have already done this, as you were checking your login details, at the top there is this applications button, and from here you can click on Survey123. So I will do that. But as the document says, you can go to survey123.arcgis.com, get to the same place. So from here, you can see all of the surveys that you have already created, or maybe others that have been shared in your organization. So I just want to make sure that you're all at this step, you've logged in okay, and you're at the survey123.arcgis.com. You can just throw in a yes, or you'd think there'd be just a thumbs up like Teams, but I'll just make sure you're logged in. Yes, thanks, Laura. So I'll probably be checking a few things today. Oh, and no worries about not having your camera on. Don't worry, I'm just putting it on so you know who's talking to you, but you don't need to. Cool. Amanda, are you on? You've logged in okay and you're on this page? Okay, that's fine. No worries at all. I'll be sending this through afterwards so you can do it in your own time. Okay, so from here, we're going to click on New Survey, so the button at the top. So I can do this and then give you a couple of moments just to keep up with me. So there's a couple of different options here, and we're going to be using the web designer, and there are two options, a blank survey and a template. And I have to say the templates are quite new. I was looking into this for this webinar, and this is a new option here, but lots of different industry templates, good for organizations that are going out into the field and maybe recording information on their assets, things like that. And there's also using Survey123 Connect, which is a desktop application you can install, and it gives you just a bit more opportunity to customize a survey, add in calculations and different look to it. But for now, and what most people tend to use is a blank survey in the web designer. So if you click on Get Started, and then from here, we'll just give our survey a name and tags and summary. And you might be aware everything in Arc Online, you need to provide tags just so that you can search for it again. So today we are going to do a river study. So you can put the name as river study, same for the tags, and river study using Survey123. So I'll fill that in as well. Laura, if you want to go ahead and do that at the same time, then we'll keep together. So river study, sorry, ignore seeing myself typing. I'm just going to add in a few extra words to the name here because I already have this saved. River study survey for webinar. And once you've filled that in, just click. So now we are in the Survey123 web designer. And across here at the top, just to let you know where we're at, we were at the overview page before where we clicked to open our new survey. Now we're in the design page, and we will go through each of these tabs as this webinar continues. We have all the different question options on the right hand side and different ways to edit and change the appearance and the options of this survey. So this is where we're at now. I'm just going to keep bringing this up so we'll stay on track. So as I said, we're going to do, the example is a rivers study. And there's a couple of different ways, I guess, this could be used, and especially with how the past year and a bit has gone. You might not be out actually doing field work, but I'm hoping now that that is changing and you can get back out there again. But the purpose of this is that you don't need to use pen and paper when you're out doing your survey. You can use this form, the survey, on whether it's an iPad, a mobile device, whatever you are using. And then you can go to each location, say along your river, and fill in a set of measurements. But there's different ways you could be thinking about this. Perhaps you as the teacher, you go out, if you can't do field work, you could be going out and filling this in so that you have the data ready for when you're back in the classroom. But another option is, this is just keep on explaining these things as we're going through. Can this be done offline as well? I just see that question come in. Yes, exactly. So we can, there is a mobile app kind of version of Survey123 that you can install on your phone. It's in the App Store, and you log in. You need to be on Wi-Fi first of all, log in with your credentials, and then download that survey to your phone. So then whenever you go out, you can click all of the measurements, or enter in all of the measurements or whatever data you're inputting, and then click submit. I think there are, I'd have to double check, sometimes if you don't have any connection, it might say this will submit when you've got data again, but it keeps a record of what you're submitting to the survey. So yeah, and I know as well that definitely can, because a lot of my colleagues would be working on Survey123 and creating base maps that then can be viewed when this is offline. So definitely possible. So yeah, other options as well, just before we get into this, sorry, so many, I'm trying not to talk too much of all these extra bits, and we'll just get into it, but you don't need to be going out somewhere and collecting that location information. It could just be what we did today of saying, where's your favorite place, or where do you want to go on holiday, and then having that conversation in the classroom, so that your students have an opportunity to actually select somewhere on the map, and then fill in other questions about that place. So it doesn't need to be on field work. It can be used even just for an activity in the classroom. So we're going to start with our first question, and we are going to add in a single choice question. And we do this by, we've got over on the right hand side, we just need to click on one of these and it will appear on our map. So we're going to click on single choice. Before we fill this in, just to show you that if you want to get rid of that again, you can just delete it here and you can duplicate that. And I'm not going to get into this today, but you can set rules. So, this question only appears if the answer to one is a certain value, things like that. But we're just going to fill them in pretty normally. And this is going to be our first question that is asking which site are you taking measurements at? So don't need to write all of that into the label. We'll just put in site name, and then we're going to put in 6 sites. So we're already saying that we're going to take 6 different measurements along our river, and whenever we first open this survey, we want to be able to say I'm at site 1 or I'm at site 2. So Laura, if you fill that in as well at the same time as me, that would be great. So if you click on the single choice, and then here in the label, we're going to say site name. And then underneath, we don't really need a hint to this question. We're just going to add in the choices and go for site 1 through to site 6. You'll see there are only 3 options here at the moment, but we can click on this plus icon to add in a couple more. So I'm just going to add that in. Site 5, site 6. Okay. Oh, and you can see I've clicked off that, so it's coming back to my add question. So if I just click on the question again, it brings me back to that edit page. And I'm just going to scroll down, and where it says appearance, I'm going to change this to horizontal. And that just puts them nicely in 2 lines and makes it look nice and neat. There is an option on all of these questions to say this is a required question, and we will do that for another one, but we don't need to do this today. But that's just a useful way to make sure that your students do actually fill something in before they click submit. So that's what that box is for. So I'll click save. And I will go on to the next one. So that's our first question of our choice, choosing which site we are at. And now the next couple of questions are actually all the same. They're all going to be a numeric question because we're going to fill in the channel depth, channel width, wetted perimeter, distance, and our speed. Isn't that right? I've got it down here. Oh, our mean time. We'll work out the speed. That's for next week. So we will go to question 2, and on our survey, if I just minimize this again, we go back to add and click on number, and that pops that question into our survey below our first one. And for this, we want to say channel depth, which I need 2 N's in here. And for our hint, we're going to put in meters. So over on the right hand side, depth in meters. There we go. So again, you can add in a default value. You can say if this is a required question, whether it's an integer, and you can even set minimum and maximum values on your numeric questions. We don't need to put anything in here at the moment, just our label and our hint. And I'll click save. So I'm going to continue adding in the next couple of questions. They're all the same apart from just what are we actually entering in here. So Laura, keep going with those as well. Hopefully you can see that in the document. I'm just going to keep going so you can keep an eye on my screen as well. And Amanda, I hope this is all making sense, and please just shout if you have any questions at the moment. So my next one, if I scroll down, our question 3. Perfect. So our next one is our channel width. So exactly the same number question and adding in channel width and in meters. So if I go back to add and number, click save. Our question 4 is wetted perimeter in meters. Question 5 is our distance in meters. And 6 is our mean time, but for the hint for this one, I'm putting in seconds. Okay. So that means now we have our first question to say which site are we at. Then we have 5 numeric questions so that we can enter in the depth, width, wetted perimeter, distance, and mean time. And Laura, just while you're filling that out, just a note on this is the answers to these questions just need to be a number. Because after this, these values that are entered into the survey, they become the data set that you're working with. So you just want to have those numbers. And we can add in, if we're working with a map or any content afterwards, we can say that the distance is in meters, but we just want to be working with the actual number here. Okay, cool, Laura, thank you. So next one then is, I guess, the key part here is adding in our map question. So this is where we want to say, okay, we've already put in, we're at site 1, but this map will actually let us choose that point on the map. So on our survey, we click on map question here on the right hand side. And for this, so it's just going to default to showing you the whole world with the marker in the middle. So we're going to say, for the label for this, mark where you are on the map. So I'll type that in. And there we go. For the hint, sometimes when I'm creating surveys, I'll explain, click on the map to pan and zoom and use the tools to zoom in. I'll not write any of that in now, but you might want to add in a bit of extra information here at times just to help your students use it. This can be particularly helpful if you are using a mobile device, because whenever you open this in a browser, as you've experienced, it was quite easy to click, where your favorite place or where you want to go on holiday in the browser. But when you're on a mobile phone, you need to click on the map first and kind of zoom in and move it around a little bit. So it can just be good to add that hint in at times. Then we want to say that this is a point, but you can choose to have a line or a polygon drawn on your map. We'll keep this with a point because we're just going to say this is this site along the river. You can then choose what background mapping, the base map you want to use on your map. There's a couple of different options here. I personally like actually going for OpenStreetMap because it has a lot more paths and routes in it. So it can just be a bit easier to see where you are. And then you can move the map here on the right-hand side to set the extent so that when your survey opens, this is exactly what the person will see straight away. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. Oh, that ticks me off. There we go. I will click on that again, just go back. That's fine. We'll do that. Well, it's very sensitive to me right now. If I'm clicking anywhere, it's going to move. So there we go. That's fine at the moment. Then I'm going to tick this box to ask for a device's location when opening this question. So if you were out with a mobile device, then it will ask you that question and then it will automatically locate you on the map. So we can do that. For this one, we will say it is a required question because we want to make sure that there is a point on the map, so we can tick that box. I'll just make sure I've got everything here. So we've chosen the point for the drawing tool. We've changed the base map. You can choose imagery, topographic. I'm using OpenStreetMap. We've zoomed into a location on the map to set the default extent. And we've said to ask for device's location, and we've ticked the box to say it's a required question. So we'll click Save for that. Okay. And our next question is our last one. You'll be glad to know. I'm not going to keep you filling out question after question, but our last one is so that we can add a photograph or an image to our site. So you might want to take photos of your students actually taking the measurements, or of the river itself, or whatever you're studying. So it's good to add these questions in. So for this one, we will click on, if I go back to add, and we click on image. And that's it appearing below the map. And for this, we want to say, so the label is just take a photo. You might want to say, take a photo of the area you're studying. Add in a hint here to give a bit more information. And then the image source. So for this, I'm keeping browse images or use camera. Or you can say camera only. So I guess it just depends. Do you want your students or whoever is using this survey to be able to look at images they've already taken on their camera? That might be quite useful if maybe you've already taken photos on a different day and you just want to include them. So keep that with browse images or use camera. With validation, you can tick this box to say that it's required, but you don't have to do that today, or else when you go to submit it, it will ask you to add in photos, so you don't need to worry about that today. You can specify a file count. So if you change this, it will just say, to select image, number of files required, 2, so it will ask for that specific number. But we'll just leave it as 1, or that should just disappear. There we go, just as 1. You can also put a minimum and maximum file count. But we'll just leave it with the label is take a photo, and we'll say browse images or use camera. There we go, and I'll just click on that again to click save. Yes, so the question there, would that give 1 photo per site? Yes, this one at the moment, the way I've set it, should be, I feel like that should disappear. You could do multiple photos, but if you set this to a specific number, then that means you have to do 4 to click submit, is what I think that value means. But I think if you can just untick, if you just don't tick this box, then it's as many as you want. But the maximum size of the file is 10 megabytes, so that's something to include. But you can definitely have multiple photos. Is that okay, Laura? And you can let me know if you've got both the map and the photo question added in there. Cool, great. That's good. Okay, so that's all of our questions into our survey. So the next thing, you can actually ignore the apologies here. There's a couple of steps here, just ignore those. I will send you an updated file, ignore those. So we're still at, these are the images for the take a photo question. So if you just keep scrolling, the survey has now been created. So we can have a preview and take a look at what the survey would look like on different devices. So if I click preview over in the bottom right hand corner, okay, and you can actually have a go with clicking on these questions and typing in a value here. You can't submit it, but it just lets you have a go and see what it looks like. You can also then choose different devices on the right hand side, a phone and a tablet, just to have a look and see what it would look like. So there we go. And I'll just click the X here to close the preview. Now that we've previewed it and we're happy with the questions, we're going to click Publish. And if I click on this, this is just a little bit I want to explain. It says here, all changes will be saved. Are you sure you want to publish the survey? Thanks, Laura. Just saying that viewers for different devices is so useful. Yeah, it's good just to know what it will look like, especially, I guess, the main thing with that, I should say, is those the appearance of the questions. So if I just click back here, say for our first question, if we change that to vertical, if I save that and preview, it will still look fine, but when you're on a phone, it just means, actually maybe we'll put, everything's beside each other or everything's below each other. I wonder if that changes. Let's just see, can't remember what it looked like. This is when we realize on a phone it looks the same with both, but okay, that was not the right example to use, but there's some where the appearance of your question might change depending on whether it's your tablet, oh there we go, tablet, or your phone. So just knowing that you can change those and have a play around with that. That's the fun of just doing all of these things on the go. So I'm going to click on Publish again here. Before I do that, it pops up saying that to modify the schema. And I'm just going to explain what this means. We don't need to do anything with it today, but I just want to let you know to not really worry about it too much. But if we click on this, this is a bit more of the behind the scenes, you could almost say, because all of those, as I said before, those values become the data that you'll be working with in Arc Online. So imagine you've got your data set, you've got your table with all of your values, you've got site 1 and you've got the values for each measurement you're taking, and the same for site 2. So at the top of that table, you're going to have the field name. So we can see here that our field names are going to be site name, site 1, site 2. And all of this is actually very neat and tidy, so there's no issues here. But you might create a survey that has quite a long label. So I guess this is a good example here. Mark where you are on the map. The name for that field in your data set, it's just putting underscores. So we might want to edit that and just say map location. It's not a huge deal. You don't really need to do it, but it might just make things a little bit tidier if you are the type of person that might be working with the data a bit more, and we'll see what we get into next week. But sometimes just having a shorter field name can be a bit easier to manage. So that's just what the Modify Schema button is. Nothing too crazy. It's just making sure that everything's nice and tidy. So from there, we're happy with that. And before I click on yep, so I'll just go back here just to explain this bit. So if I click back, so we did our preview, we've saved everything, and then I click on Publish. And then it will come up, sometimes this will flash to modify the schema. So we just click on this button. So it's just saying that this is where, if you need to change any of those field names for whenever you're managing it in Arc Online, then yep, it's all there. Perfect. I'm just reading your other question here. Problem solving in lockdown without seeing what pupils could see was complex until one pupil videoed on a mobile a problem on a screen. Yeah, it's definitely can be a bit different. Good to know how it looks on different devices. One other thing, just before I click publish and we move on from this, we've added in our questions, and we've been looking at this add and edit tab here, but we also can just change the appearance of the actual form itself. And you can do that by changing the header and description and footer of the survey. So if I just, for the moment, untick and retick these to show you where they are. And you can also change that background color or add in an image. So go for a nice pink, salmon pink, coral pink, or blue, go for blue. And you can also have your own custom theme. if that's something that you would have. And then within just the options is just afterwards when the survey is submitted, this is the message that comes up. So you can edit that if you want to. And one other thing, just with these questions, we've looked at the single choice, the number, map, and image. There are obviously a lot of other different question types, and you would have experienced a couple in the one that I sent to you. Where is it here? We have the ranking question, so that was where you put your genre of films in order. The Likert or Likert was the cats and dogs question, but you could have that as, you would see it in other surveys. How satisfied were you with this? And a scale to not satisfied, very satisfied, those sorts of questions. You can also have rating questions with stars or hearts to give 5 stars for something. And then there's a lot of things you can even do. Just instead of single choice, you can have multiple choice questions. You can just add in text and multi-line text. We might want to add one in here for, you could just say, type in some information about this location, and it's simply just to enter in text. So I encourage you just to have a play around with this someday, add in some other questions and have a go and see what works. So I will actually go now to the publish button and carry on with this. I definitely clicked on that just a little too early. So gone through all of the questions and I explained the modify schema. We're happy, we've got everything sorted that we want to do. So I will now click on publish. So Laura, if you might have done this already while I've been rambling on, but you can click publish on that. It shouldn't take too long. Probably because I have lots of things running here and camera on and everything. So this, I will just keep on track here where we are with our publishing. So this is where we're at the moment. Once that is published, we'll keep going within Survey123, but that's actually publishing your form to your ArcGIS Online account. And it will publish a couple of data sets as well, which basically are the answers to your survey. So there we go, the survey is being published. Now you can access the survey link here and distribute it to end users for data collection. So that's great. So I'll just click OK, that's fine. What I will now do, just to prove what I was saying before, if I click into, I've got Arc Online open in another tab. If I click on my content page, all my content, and there are quite a few here just because I've been working on some other surveys, but these top 3 items, so this is the form that I have just published, and then it has created these 2 data sets. We're going to talk a little bit more about that next week, but I just wanted you to be aware that those 3 items get created along with your survey. Depending on some settings, you might also get a map already created, which would just be one of these layers shared onto a map and saved into your content. Oh, sorry, I should say top 4 items here. So the feature layer, that is kind of your main data, that's what's coming from your survey, but it's created these 2 views from this hosted layer. And that's just so that there's one that you might only want stakeholders to see and one for the field workers to edit again. Again, nothing to worry about, just know that these 4 are associated with your form, and we'll be coming back to this a bit more next week and actually using these data sets, because at the moment they're empty. You've just published the form, but no data has actually been submitted. So I'll go back to Survey123. I'm still in the design tab here, and what we are now going to do, if I keep on track with this, is sharing the survey with your class. So at the top of our page, we're going to click on Collaborate. This is where we get some of the settings of how are we going to share the survey and who can submit to this. So at the first option here, share this survey, we have a link, and this is the link that you can use. You can copy it, share, show a QR code, and also then open the survey in a new tab. So I'm just going to click on this to show you what it looks like. It's very similar to our preview page that we already looked at, but this is actually one that you can click on the answers, fill it all in, and actually click submit. When you open that in a new tab, it does bring up quite a long URL for the survey. But if we're back in the Collaborate tab, you can see you can just use this short link. So that will take you to exactly the same place. So if I copy that and paste it in here, it changes to that link. So that's quite handy just for sharing it, sending it to others. And there's a couple of options here of how do you actually want the survey to be opened. So I have it ticked here, open the survey in browser directly, but you could ask the user how they want to open the survey and open the survey in the Survey123 field app directly. I think if you do have a mobile device and you want to use the Survey123 application, I can talk through that again in a few minutes towards the end, but sometimes this is a good option. Then when we click on this to open it in a new tab, we will get the choice. Open it in the browser or open it in the app. I think for most cases when you're doing field work, opening it in a browser, keeping this ticked is fine, because when you have the mobile app on your phone and you download it, you don't get those options. It will just come up as normal. And I'll demo that if we have some time here. But I'm conscious that I've been rambling on, and if I don't get to that, I will definitely show you next week or send through the information to you. But for now, we can just tick open the survey in the browser directly. Who can submit to this survey? You can choose everyone. You can choose members of your organisation, so that's anybody who has a login to your school's ArcGIS Online account, or you can choose a particular group. So you might have lots of different classes in your Arc Online account, and you have a group for a particular year group or class, and you're maybe just doing this survey with them or this fieldwork with them. So you could just tick on following groups and choose that group. For this, I'm just going to say everyone, and then that automatically means everybody in my organisation. So that's fine, that's shared with everybody. I'm saying that users, any people submitting to the survey, they can only add new records or add and update records, add, update and delete records. We probably just want them to only add new records. Multiple submissions. This is an important one for doing these the field work, because for your survey you need to submit that 6 times. So you definitely want to say allow multiple submissions. You can also then say whether the survey is open or closed. So I know somebody that created a survey, but they were just carrying out a bit of investigation and they wanted all of their survey responses in by a certain date so that they could carry on with their overall project. So you can set an open and close time, but for most of these, just keep it open. No issues there. So that's everything on the Collaborate tab. Once you've or on this sharing survey page under the Collaborate tab, so we'll just click Save on those. I don't tend to change anything else in the rest of these tabs, so Share Results. We'll come to that when we actually look at the data in Arc Online and how we want to share it then. But for now, I just leave all of these as default and group settings. So don't really need to worry about that. Who can update the survey? Maybe you are working with other people. If you're in a group with them, you can tick that box, but don't need to worry about it at the moment. So basically, we've got our survey created, we've published it, and now we're saying that anybody can fill it in. Of course, they need the URL to access it, but at the moment, if anybody has this URL, they can fill in my survey. Is that okay at the moment? I know sometimes the sharing and me talking about those different apps might seem a little bit complicated, but is that okay with both of you? If you do have questions or want me to explain it a little bit more, I don't mind. Okay, cool, that's all good. And we're nearly there actually. So I've talked through these sharing, and you'll be pleased to see this is probably something you get this all the time, where this is absolutely hilarious to say that you've got some homework to do, but we're going to be able to actually maybe get it done now. So just going back to this, as I said, we've published it, it's public, but we don't have any entries in our survey. So if I click on Analyze, Survey has no records yet. Please check again later. And again, with the Data tab, I think it will say the exact same thing. So what we need to do, especially if we want to be able to look at this next week and do anything with this data, is actually to fill in some, or we're just going to do kind of pretend values for our river study. So what I have done is added in this table, and you can fill in the survey 6 times, and this will give you good practice, and I know you've already filled one in today, but to actually fill in the details for our pretend river study. So we can all fill in one of these. So I'll go through one just like this. I'm actually just going to move this over here so I can see it while I'm doing it. I've got my survey here. So I just have a table open in my other window so I can see. So I've got the survey open. I'm going to click, we're at site 1. The channel depth is 0.468. Our width is 7.9. Wetted perimeter 10.7. Distance for all of these is 10. That's the distance along the river that you're measuring for the time, which is 3. So this is probably going to pick up my location, but that's fine. Let's see what happens. Yep, very close. So I'm just going to choose somewhere. I can drag. Is this just going to pick where I'm at? I just clicked. The map did pick up where I'm at right now. I'm in Dublin, but I just clicked on the little bin icon to remove that so that I can now just click anywhere. So for now, I do have one that's already created, but just for the purposes of this, I'm just going to put a point on the map here. And then obviously we've said that you don't need to put in a photo now. I'm not going to click on this. It will take a picture from my webcam right now you can see, but once that is done, then you can click submit. And it will say, great, your data was sent successfully. So if I go back into Survey123 and go back to my Analyze tab, now we can see my answers. So for site name, we just have one record for site 1. This is our channel depth, our channel width, wetted perimeter, distance, and mean time. If I click on the Data tab, I can then see that record on the map with each of those values in the attribute table below. So what for next week, or you can carry on and do this now. Afterwards, I'm not going to keep filling everything in, but if you can fill in the values for the 6 sites, and of course it's good if you put them along a river, but as long as they're kind of in a line, because then we'll be able to visualize those changing values in our map. That would be great. So the last thing then, I guess I just wanted to show you, I'll just bring this back over here. Just to kind of recap, there's only a few minutes left, so that was actually good timing, even though I've rambled on about different things. We've really, apart from a few times when I've shown you in ArcGIS Online, where the form and those data sets were, we've really just been working within Survey123. we have our overview page where now you should see the, oh, actually this is just for our particular survey, sorry. We can go back to My Surveys at the top and you can see the survey that you've just created. So if you log out and come back into it someday, you should now see this here to go back into it. Bit of an overview, you can see that I have, that's my one submission, design, and collaborate. We've gone through each of these and now we have our analyze and data tab. The last thing, which I don't think really needs to be talked about too much, is the settings. And that's just about versions of the software, so no need to worry too much about that. One thing I do want to mention about, especially when it comes to this data submission, particularly for these river studies, I think it can be a good idea if you, depending on the age group of your class, if they're out doing this study, that each of them would have their own survey. So everybody has their own survey and they all have their 6 records in their table, which then they can go and analyze and view on a map. Whereas if you have one survey and you're sharing this with the rest of your class, you're going to have however many students all filling in site 1, channel depth, channel width. And now we can, when we look in Arc Online, we can take the average value or just filter it so that we only see one record for site 1 and one record for site 2. So there's ways around it, but it's just something to think about of how you're actually going to share the survey and use it. And just lastly, when you are then back in Arc Online, these were the 4 items that I showed you. If I were to click on this feature layer, just to show you how it all kind of links up together, if I click on data, then I can also see my records here, and click on visualization. I'll be able to see that on the map. There we go. So next week, we'll take this side a little bit further and show you, we'll have 6 points in our map. We'll visualize it. We'll be able to make it look nice and actually see how does the river change as you go downstream based on the values from our survey. Last thing is, I don't have a phone close to me, but you can get the Survey123 application from whether it's App Store or Play Store. Log in with your ArcGIS Online account and you can fill out those points on your phone if you'd like to. And if you need a hand with that, you can just give me a shout over the next few days. Cool. So I'm just looking at questions here. If you have time, how I got to Survey123 through ArcGIS Online. Okay, that's fine. Strange error. Right, Amanda, I will show you this now. So I imagine that I've just logged in to ArcGIS Online. So I'm here, and you can be on really any tab, I suppose, as long as you can see this menu along the top. And then here, there's the list of different applications that you can use. You might have a shorter or longer list than this, but from here, then you can click on Survey123. But that just is, you don't see that. Do you see do you have this icon at all? No, okay. That might be, let's see, are you the administrator for your organization? Sorry if I should know this already. Are you the main contact who, the organization was set up under your name? No, okay. So I think that could be it. If you ask your colleague who set up the organization, if they can log in, it'd be great if you actually had the administrator settings as well. And you can check that if you click on organization and members. Going to a new school. Okay, well, you can get it set up for your new school. But basically, I was just going to say that members, if you're an administrator, that means you're able to add in other, you can add in your students, add in your colleagues. So hopefully that will get set up okay. But for now, hopefully you can still just go to the Survey123 website. Yeah, of course, contact me about any of that, is no problem. Hopefully though, I know you don't have this, but hopefully you were still able just to go to the web link, and that will work for you in the meantime. I hope all of that is okay. There's quite a lot to get through in an hour, but hopefully it's just a good reminder of actually setting up the survey and sharing it. And perfect. No worries. And it's been great having both of you here, and it's just thanks for letting me know what stage you're at and interacting with me. And if you have any questions between now and next week, just give me a shout and I'll send through the recording of this, and hopefully you have that document already, but I'll send you through an email with everything. Okay, have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you both next week. Bye.